what I know about the race is it's a 25-mile, 30-pound ruck down in Bandera, Texas. I think it's Bandera State Park, and it's obviously done through Tejas Trails, which is a really good show. Obviously, they're doing the qualifier for the UTMB while we're down there doing the ruck, so it should be a wonderful event. I've decided to take this one on because I haven't done a ruck before, and I've been doing a lot of endurance events. And after talking to you about it, I didn't even know about it. And it just triggered an interest, and I had to make a move on. I made it quick. I think it was 2 weeks after me and you spoke that I went ahead and pulled the trigger on the Cactus Rose down there.
Isn't it great that the world of rucking is growing in so many different avenues? I know Tejas, they put it on. I think the first ruck was about 2 years ago, and I competed in it. And that's why I thought it was great to come on here and give you any guidance, but it seems like you're doing a different one. Now that's a qualifier for UTMB, the golden ticket, or is that Western States this year? I think it was Western last year.
They're definitely doing the qualifier for UTMB. I was taking a look at that, and that's for the 100 and I think the 150-mile endurance runs. Okay.
All right. Because I remember last year, it was a golden ticket to Western States, I believe. So that's pretty cool. So they're definitely growing. I was actually really surprised by the elevation they had, and the course that I did was like this family-filled center. They had this amazing river right there where you could swing, do the swings and slides into the water. It was kind of like a different world. I mean, there's a lot of parts of Texas Ronald probably knows more than I do, but I got there, and the elevation, the terrain, the technical parts of it were crazy. I mean, we even had this section that people were calling Jurassic Park. They're like, wait till you get to Jurassic Park, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. And you're going across this fence, and you swear like a raptor is going to come out and snatch you up. But yeah, really good people. I remember from doing that event.
I think the first thing, it's the time of the year. I think since it's in 2 weeks, it probably won't be too hot. So it's a good thing, because there is a race that they have that it's in the middle of summer, and it gets, all the way to 110, 112 degrees. So I think him doing the race in 2 weeks, it's a good call because there is less thing you had to prepare. Especially if you're not, running in the heat, for training, and then you're just like, oh, I'll sign up for this, I'm gonna go do it in 2 weeks. I think you're in a good path so far to be able to complete the race, and the weather won't be too bad. And then he probably don't have to worry too much about that, which is a big factor in Texas when if you're not used to running in 110 degrees. And then you're about to put the 30-pound rock and run 25 miles. It's 3 times harder than walking. So let's say twice as harder than running. So I think it's not a bad call,
Right on. My initial question right out of the gate, because I've had 3 weeks of training that I started. So obviously before, I was doing the majority of my training was going to be running. I was putting anywhere between 3 to 6 miles in at least every other day. And since I've transitioned to this, I've kept the running a bit. I've slowed it back and picked up some strength training, and been trying to do some high intensity interval training, and then getting a good hike in on the weekend after a couple runs during the week. And so I found out that it's been a very painful transition. It's definitely harder than I initially thought it would be, especially at some of the places I've gone and done it with the elevation climbs. And obviously the more climbing, the more pain. But what is it like? We can start with whoever, maybe Mark, but what is it about rucking? Like, what brought you into rucking? And why is it something that you're obviously passionate about?
Well, there's a ton of reasons, Dustin. I gotta say, I'm wondering why you got into rucking. I think that's really more important. My why won't convert to your why. So maybe if we can elaborate on what yours is, then we can help you fine tune what you're doing it for. but I'm happy to share. I'll give you the short story. Besides the 21 years in the military doing it, that's not where I learned to love it. I learned more to love it when I got out. But it's just there's just so many reasons, carrying that burden of the world around you. And my first experience was really when I saw a guy in pain from carrying not just dead weight, but like actual weapon systems that you have no choice but to pass around. This guy was just in pain so bad. And I remember, I just was able to help him. And it's like he levitated and had this ridiculous thank you on his face that I'll never forget. And that kind of transferred forward into all these events that we do with Rucking and kind of sharing that load.
Sweet.
Yeah, I would share my little bit of about what I started Rucking. I think for me it was a hobby. I started like you. I was running. I was doing obstacle races. And then, I found out, hey, there is an event Spartan is offering that, it's a little bit more challenging, but you had to carry a little bit more weight. So I was like, yeah, I mean, why not, right? I believe it was 20 pounds back in the days, 2017, I believe it was. So, I decided to like, why not, right? It's only 4 hours, only 20 pounds. It's not bad. So I had to, start like okay, what do I need to do now? How do I train to be able to carry this weight, to move faster? What kind of pack do I need? Because I want to move fast. I want to have something that is not going to fail on me. So I started doing a lot of research, a lot of asking people that just like you, people that done it before me, people that completed things before me. I started reaching out and asking, hey, what do you recommend? What's the best rock? What's the best shoes? Socks. I mean, everything from shorts to like, do I need to wear pants? Do I need to wear leggings? Do I need to wear, what kind of t-shirt do I need? All those questions started coming in my mind. Like, how do I, how do I can move faster with more weight? Because I realized it's not going to be like running or doing obstacles without weight. Soon, when you put your rock on and you realize, oh, this is not that easy. And then you start running and your legs are not the same. Your speed is not the same. So I learned a lot of things by asking and trying. And that's where we are right now at the point where after a few events, because like I said, it was a hobby in the beginning and it still is, I still have fun. I still put my rock on, and sometimes I do 12 miles. Sometimes I just do 2 miles. My girlfriend usually go run, and I put my rock on and I just jog and run, walk. And then one time we had a conversation and said, hey, are you going to do your 12 miler? And I was like, yeah. And it's like, what's your timing? I was like, I'm not doing any time. I'm just going out and have fun. If I feel like running, I'll run. If I feel like walk, I'll walk. So it's a hobby still for me, just to go out and put the rock on and walk and be able to, I guess, move faster with weight. It's a good feeling. So I think to me that was everything. And along the way I found more challenging events and longer distance, longer time frames or challenges. I mean, Mark, I'm gonna tell you, Mark, it probably doesn't say much, but he's done almost everything. We're like following his steps. He's completing everything, and not just completed, but winning all the hardest challenges that are out there when it comes to rocking and carrying, weight. So that I always said, if somebody can say something about rocking and Mark says it, take it, because he's been there, he's done it, he's done the distance, he's done the time frame events, so he's done everything. And like I said, not just done it, but winning the event. So it's you're definitely gonna get a lot from guys like Mark.
Awesome.
Well, thanks, Ronald. But with that said, Dustin, I gotta say I wasn't as smart as Ronald with my approach, or yourself. I went through a lot of pain and suffering on my own and trial and error on my own, and kind of stayed away from asking people, because I have this weird thing. If I start talking about my event, then it kind of jinxes the event. And, you know, I kind of do things on my own, and, you know, it leaves me with blisters and pain and cuts and rips. But yeah, Ronald's definitely asking a lot of questions and doing the right thing. So 2 different approaches.
Yeah. Awesome. As far as a week of training is concerned, like, what is an average week? And let's not say where you guys are at right now. Say you're in my position. So I guess let me tell you what I've accomplished so far. So last Sunday, I went to Eisenhower State Park up at Lake Texoma, and there was probably roughly around 700 foot of elevation climb in the 7 miles. So I was averaging about 100 feet per mile of elevation climb, and I've been rucking with 40 pounds in my pack, and I got through that pretty good. Unfortunately, at mile 3, my strap broke, so I spent the next 5 miles basically holding on to one strap and trying to make it back to the to the truck. So that was a mistake and a lesson learned about equipment. But as far as a week's worth of training, should I be doing 2 to 3 hikes a week? Is one sufficient as long as I'm running and lifting? Like, what do you guys suggest?
You want to go ahead, Ronald?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, this is just like running and everything else. Everybody's different. You've had a short transition time. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I've been dialing it in differently each year, maybe twice a year, to include recently. Like, I got this 50-mile ruck race in a few days here, and my quads are killing me just from running down 3/4 of a mile 1K descent with my buddy Yancey the other day, and if that was without a ruck. So like, you can see how it gets in your head. Like, I shouldn't be hurting on like a taper week right now. I wasn't even wearing a ruck, you know, and I'm getting ready for a 50-mile race, and not even a mile kicked my ass. So there's just so many options. You know, I've been really cutting back my rucking time. Like Ronald said, if you incorporate walks, that helps out a ton, especially when you're going uphill. It's the cost benefit to do a power hike over, you know, trudging with running, especially if you're rucking. So I've cut back. I did more speed stuff now, and then more hiking and less just long distance rucking. And if I have like a 20-miler on the calendar, I'll try to split it into like 2 different sessions, or maybe even 4, and throw in some weights in between sessions, just to have kind of like the heavy legs on the next round, and try to keep your splits even, or even negative if you could. So sometimes I'll do intervals with no weight, actually doing a lot more running without the weight, and then doing more of a test and some kind of speed work with the ruck on as well. But short stuff, quarter, 400s, 800s, nothing too crazy. Even if I have like a 5K in the schedule, I'll break it up into 2, do a heavy circuit in between, or an air bike or something, still with the ruck on, and then jump back into it and see how my splits and legs hold up. It's really all about the time, especially for this race. If you checked out the course and the elevation gain, at this point, you should have a rough idea of what your pace is, and just try to really hold on to that. If you're going out for fun to get it done with these other guys, your buddies, just go out and have fun with it. Just get it done. You'll experience, trust me, even if you think you have it dialed in, there's going to be way more that you experience at the end of it. As soon as you get your ruck off as fast as possible and fall to the ground, you're going to say, yep, I'm doing this next time. This is how I'm training. I think I'm actually anxious to hear the next day, like how it went, what you feel went wrong, what went right, and what your plan is for the future. Because you'll be back. You'll be hooked after this.
Oh, I can imagine. And unfortunately, I have one speed, and that's like as hard as you can go. So I've already had the conversation with my buddies, like, hey, I'm gone. Whoever's in first, I'm riding that dude until like my legs give out. So that's all I got in me, man. Is like that's the only speed that I got.
Well, then do it. Yeah, go hard, and you know, if you bomb, it's gonna suck. But yeah, whatever, just do it.
Is that a bad? Am I taking a bad approach right now? Because
I mean, even the way I race, I had an idea based on the gain and the temperature and the weight. I was only a few minutes off without being on that course ever, so I was pretty dialed in. My nutrition was a little off that day because of adjusting. I was coming from Colorado that year, so the humidity really got to me, and I didn't adjust for that. But even me, I'll walk on big climbs or even slight incline, and you feel it when you're going up a hill and you start to feel your heart rate almost popping out, your heart really popping out of your chest. That's really the time. If you start to notice that coming on, that's the time to really just dial it back, because it makes such a huge difference when you get to the top of the hill walking it or running it. And with a mile, for me personally, it's about a 15 to 20-second difference.
awesome.
It saves a ton of energy.
So you just brought up some about your heart and stuff. So that was going to be a next question. Being an endurance guy and running, I completely and 100% pay attention to my heart rate. Like I follow the zones. I train in zone 2, zone 3. And once a week, I'll try to get into zone 4, and then obviously you're racing at zone 5 or zone 4, zone 5 as in terms of heart rate. Is there anything that I need to be looking at? Is there a zone that's good to try to stay in while rucking? And let's ask. Training wise, what's a good zone to be in? And then day of, like, what's a good zone that I need to be in as I'm going through the 25 miles?
Yeah. I mean, that's personalized.
Okay.
But those hills will bring you up to zone 5 way faster, and it's humbling, and you have to almost accept it. Like what Ronald's training for right now and what I've gone through, it's not about a win, it's about a finish. And if you finish strong and you feel good and you know where you could have ran more up the hills, but it's so easy to burn yourself out prior of not knowing that and trying to go into zone 5 and being humbled by the pace you're running than what you're used to without the ruck, because you got to just embed it in your head. It's gonna be different, right? It's gonna be slower, and that's fine. You can find spots to make it up. If you're good at downhill, just make it up on that. It'll go fast. But I would definitely study the map and know, because that helps a lot when you're rucking. Because sorry, I'm gonna say one more thing. So another passion of mine with rucking is because it gives you this, I'm back in my primal state. I'm going out for the hunt. I'm bringing the hunt back or the kill back. And, it's not just dead weight in the real world, as you might or might not know, right? It's a very real practical weight that can be applied to real life that you can carry out and achieve a ton with your ability and skill for water supply and resupply, your food sources. I mean, you start putting stuff in your pack. I mean, 30 pounds is not a lot for all the essentials you might need on a long journey. So to have the ability to know that without being on that journey and just be able to race and go hard is such a cool feeling, knowing that you can do that in real life and have like a real life adventure. So, I mean, I really just want you to enjoy this. Go hard, but enjoy it.
Hey,
Right on.
Yeah, I have some points that I can bring out to this too. I would say that, if if I wouldn't know you and you ask me like, hey Ronald, I'm doing this, well, what should I do? I would say in the beginning would say, look, you need to have a good rock. That, I mean, you already have a failure equipment, and you already know, hey, I spend hours just to holding one shoulder. So that, to me, that's the beginning of the journey. You have to have good gear, find the rock that you like, be comfortable with the rock, spend time with the rock on your shoulders, get used to the the weight on your shoulders. You're doing a great job by adding more weight than what you're gonna run, just because in general it's better, right? If you carry 40 pounds but you're gonna run with 30, when you put the 30-pound, it's gonna feel lighter, you're gonna feel better, it's gonna be easier for you. So my advice would be that, to begin, find the right gear, the right rock, something that like I mean, it's soon, but you can still have some time with the rock. I do a lot of training in aerobic because, like Mark said, you can go red, right from the beginning and find a very painful way to the end, or you can train aerobic, which is going to build your heart rate, your endurance. The more time you spend doing aerobic training, which is, I think, is song number 3, the more your heart is going to grow, and you're going to have more endurance for a long, in this case 25-mile. It's a long race. So my advice is spend time in the aerobic heart rate, I'm sorry, so that way you can build your endurance, because that's what you need. You need to have endurance. And yes, let's say you start doing aerobic training, and then by the time in the race you go red. Whatever you did in your aerobic training, it's gonna definitely help you and impact the red zone when you red zone the race. So that would be my advice. Try to spend more time in aerobic. Add a lot of leg workouts, because you need to have strong legs. Just like Mark said, once you start rocking, your quads hurt, your calves hurt. Add a lot of not a lot, but enough leg workouts that you can build your muscles, you can build the strength. And usually strength workouts are not that hard unless you do any CrossFit stuff. But if you do regular lifting, regular squat, lunges, and things like that, your heart rate usually doesn't go to red zone. So I think it's again, you add it to the aerobic training. So that would be my advice when it comes to how to train for the 25 miles if you don't have a lot of time. I tend to put my rock, and let's say if I do a 4-hour event, I put my rock and say, okay, I'm gonna rock for 4 hours. I'm not gonna go to speed. I'm not gonna go to like distance. I'm just gonna have my rock for 4 hours and see how it feels. I like you. Usually the events are 30 pounds. I put 45. My weight is 45 pounds. So I put 45 pounds. I put my bladder maybe a pound extra with water. Take some snacks, and then I go for 4 hours. So try that, so that way you know how it feels. If it's a 25, how long do you think it's going to take you to run 25 miles? I mean, if you're running, how long it takes you to run 25 miles?
Yeah.
5 hours?
25 miles, it'll take me roughly about 5 to 5.5 hours. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say on Saturday morning, put your rock on and go for 6 hours. Get your snacks. Not don't worry about running. Just to get used to have the weight on your shoulders for 6 hours, because that's what's gonna take you, right? You're gonna have to carry that weight for 6 hours, and then you build your running through the week. You do your I don't know, 6 miles, 8 miles. I do a lot of 6 miles, and I do a long run on the weekend, like a 12-mile on the weekend, and that's how. And I try to do aerobic even when I rock. If I walk, it's I don't get to any zones if I walk, but if I rock, I'm always like in the aerobic zone. So to me, I know even if I don't run, but if I rock at a 15-minute mile pace per minute pace, my heart rate is always in
in the aerobic pace. So that's because I know my heart rate. So if you when you try, you put your rock and you like start walking fast and see where it's your pace to be in aerobic heart rate. So
Okay.
those things you try, like Mark and me, I've been doing this since 2017. So I spend a lot of time rocking, spend a lot of time skating the rock, and I'm like you. I look at the heart rates. I don't want to go red zone and kill myself because, again, you could do it. Yes, I mean you're gonna be crushed at the end of the race, and you might win, and it feels great, right? There's nothing wrong about that. But I think it's good to before the event, know your heart rates. Know your what's your pace. Okay, if I run, I don't know, 12-minute mile with my rock on, do I get with threshold, which is zone number 4, or do I get zone number 5? So I think those things, just it's a try and error. You're gonna try and see how your body reacts to everything, because you can ask me and say, Ronald, what's your heart rate with your rock on? It's what's your pace? I will say 50. If I stay at a 15-minute mile, I can be aerobic the whole time. But then if I go to 12, I might go red zone. If I go to 10, it might last 6 miles, and then I will be crushed. So those things, you'll know your pace as you train, as you do it more often. And then, like you said, if you like, since now that you like it, you can do the investment of the time, and you can do the investment of the money as well when it comes to gear. Buy the right gear, even if you spend the extra money. I'm not gonna recommend anything just because I don't want to recommend anything on the call for gear, but find the rock that it's good for you, that's not gonna break, and it's not gonna pull, instead of worry about your running, you're gonna have to worry about pulling your rock for half of the race, and that's not gonna be great for you. And then you're gonna regret it. So you're gonna be like, man, I should have spent an extra $100 for a rock, so I won't be pulling this rock for 6 hours. So things like that. I think that's my advice. Gear is very important. Do the investment for the right gear, and do the investment for the training, right? So everything it's together.
A question that I'm dying to know the answer to right now. So the first ruck I did, I was in like a pair of Hoka street running shoes, and that was nice, but I also wasn't climbing any hills with rocks. Okay. The second one I did with a pair of Belleville, like military grade boots, and paid a very dear price for that for about 4 days. Just blistered, toes hurting, calves beat up. And then I actually have a pair of ultra trail running shoes. And so I threw those things on the other day, and that seemed to be the magic touch. Now, I haven't done a full 20, 25 or anything like that. What are you guys using? What do you suggest? Am I thought of as a lesser by not wearing boots? Because everything it's really hard to get the information. Like, you go online and there's opinions and stuff, and I know that there's a little code going on, and I just don't want to upset anybody when I show up,
Man, there's no code. You do what you want. You do what you want to win.
All right.
Boots and rucking didn't come out the same womb. I mean, like, it's freaking boots suck. I would never recommend wearing boots ever to anybody rucking, and especially ruck running. Personally, right now I'm into the asphalt stuff. So my trail shoe is the North Face Vective series that came out. They were pretty good. They had a little bit of cushion. I don't like Hoka. Not saying they're just not good for me, but right now I'm doing the Nike Alpha Fly for the 50 miler in a couple weeks, because it's 50 miles and it's like the top of the line springiest shoe out there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Please.
Please.
I have ultras just like you. I have the Olympus 4. I think they have the Olympus 5 right now, which is their the trail with more cushion. So I'm with you too. Like, I think that's why you feel ultras good, because to me that's what it works. I'm like Mark. I don't use boots to training. I use boots to running. I don't even have a pair of boots for any events or any running. So ultras are the way for me to go with the events. And then I do love the Olympus because they have a lot of cushion. So I would definitely recommend those just because I done marathons with them and feel great after. No blister, no pain, no nothing. Next day I'm walking again normal. So
Yeah. I'm rocking the Olympus 5s. And like I said, it was smooth running. When I signed up for the event down in Bandera, they sent me like this packet, right? So if you haven't done the event, here's a link, Rucking Essentials. And of course, it takes you to this website where they're selling you stuff, right? And when you click on footwear, it takes you immediately to like military grade boots, like Belleville and Under Armour and stuff. So I was like, do I gotta do this in boots? This is horrible news. This is not enticing. But I ended up doing it just to see what it felt like, and it was a horrible idea to wear those boots.
yeah, it is a bad idea. Yeah, I mean, so some people are able to do it with boots, but you don't see that a lot. Like most of the people doing events right now, they're doing trail running shoes. I mean, Mark used trail running shoes. I use trail running shoes. I know another friend, Patrick, who's another selection finisher. He used trail running shoes. So I do have a lot of friends that's what they use. They don't use boots. Maybe because like he's like it is a military thing, right? You carry Ruck. You have your military boots, and I think that's why maybe they send you the link and they say, hey, boots are recommended because that's how the picture says it should be, right? But once you try it and then you already know it didn't work for you and it didn't work for a lot of people. So stay with the trail running shoes.
Dustin, I almost want to see what you have as a ruck right now. Did you replace the broken one yet?
I ordered one.
Okay.
I don't know if I can say where.
What
condition one. You know, I'm really like on the fence about purchasing one from Ruck and Go. One of those, like you fit the plate in there. They're amazing looking. Being $300 or $400, you know what I mean? I'm on the fence about it. I was gonna try this bag from Condition One.
So as far as these kind of style events where you have to carry a weight plate, I mean, I guess you could really carry whatever you want. But if I was hiking, it'd be a different pack than if I'm running. Just because you can make them more compact with the plate carriers now, the way it cinches right up to your body, it becomes one. But the reason I was talking about the pack and to see it is because when you get into running, it's really good, first and foremost, to be able to breathe, obviously, right? A lot of people tighten everything up and they start running and they're hyperventilating because they can't breathe. So I like to cinch up, take breaths, know I can breathe, start warming up with it and going. Another part of that too is that if you use it previously and you have sweat accumulation, the straps are gonna expand and contract. So when that happens, you need to know your adjustments. You need to know where all your points, all your straps are, so you can adjust on the fly. It seems like it's an ongoing thing. So as long as you know where things are, how to lift your ruck and cinch down on the go, these are all little tips that help you go far and be more efficient.
Yeah, going back to John was asking about, what do you need to know about rocking? I never had an issue with, rocking with straps. I don't wear anything, any anti-chafing or anything like that, because I honestly never had any issues with the shoulder straps or the chest strap or their hip straps, which is, things that you can buy to carry your rock and your weight. So I can't really tell you what's going to work for you because I never use anything. So I know people does because of their chest, burns. So like the shoulders are too close to their neck. It all depends on your body type. And like Mark said, depending on what you're planning to do with your rock. If you're doing the 25 miles and you have to carry your own water, you had to carry your fuel because they don't have water station, or they don't have fuel stations. I think those are all the things that you have to take in consideration to pick up what rock what rock do you need, or what rock is more efficient for you. My advice would be, because it's definitely the best price for the rock is the Rucker, I guess 4.0 right now. I have a 3.0, which is the version before, and the only difference is the zippers. The 4.0 doesn't have zippers, which to me, I don't know why, but I love the zippers. I love to be able to have pockets and close it and open, and then I don't like the Velcro, to be honest. But that's a cheap rock compared to the other ones. I believe they're in the lowest 300. I haven't bought one in a long time, but you can definitely find one for $250, less than $300. So that would be my advice. It used to be a speed rocker that they don't make anymore, but you might be able to buy one in one of those websites. Rock Mall, I think it's one that you can ask. It's called a speed rocker. I have one. I think Mark has one. Those are great for running because they're little. They're close to your body. It's like a couple pounds less that you have to carry because they're very light. The material is very thin, so it's good for speed rocking. So that's my take on the rock. You don't have to spend $300-$400 for a rock, to be honest with you.
I would disagree with the Speed Rucker. I had the first couple versions and they're garbage. I think it was their first introduction into working with Vietnam, and they fall apart. The 3 I actually like better than the 4, the Rucker that he's talking about. I do like the outer zipper pocket, and we're talking about less than a quarter of a pound difference between the two. I don't know if it's all the zippers or what, but I actually just did that today because I'm still in a debate about which one I'm using for this race, because I do like the 3. And it's so broken in, has so many more miles in it. But yeah, I would go with one of those. And the good thing is too, Dustin, they kind of, they get you into this trap. I've never heard of condition 1. You've obviously had an issue with another ruck that you were using. The deal is, for me, I at least have 2 because it's a lifetime guarantee. Even the greatest rucksack, quote unquote, on their site, it still falls apart. So having 2, you have the ability when it does happen to send it back in and still have another to train. These are all long-term things. So again, if this is, hey, get through the race, see how you feel, and hey, fuck that, I'm never doing that again, or yeah, when's the next one? It's good to have 2 training tools. You even have the boots, and there actually is a race called Baton Memorial Death March in White Sands, New Mexico. That's a marathon, and one of the divisions specifically says you have to wear boots. So, that's another tool that you already have, and you could go tackle that one day.
My buddy Josh Horn said, man, you definitely need to ask this question because we're all about it for the pain. Obviously that's the part we enjoy the most about it. So what is to both of you guys, what is the most painful event you've ever done?
Oh man, well, for me, I'm gonna say selection is the most painful for many reasons. Selection is different for everybody. It hits you different because your reasons, your why, your fitness, your mental fitness. So it's hard for me to explain it to you everything why. It's one of those things that when you're there and when you do it, you understand why is it so hard, why it requires all the training, why do you have to be on point with your mind, with your body, your why and the reason why you're there, because it's not just physical, it's mental. It requires a lot of like time through the whole training to the process. So to me, selection is probably the hardest because I haven't finished it. Longest I last was, I believe, 21 hours. That was when Mark finished the selection. And it's just hard in every level because selection, it's, for most of the people, it's not something that you can just sign up a week before and say, you know what, I'm going to do selection next week. I haven't done anything. I haven't trained. I don't have a right rock. I'm going to do it and finish it. That might not happen for 99% of the people. There might be those special guys that it happens, they can do it like that and finish it. But for the most part, for we, the regular people, it doesn't work like that because it's an event that requires a lot of stuff, a lot of planning, a lot of training, a lot of trying with your rock, trying with your gear. It's expensive. You got to spend a lot of money. You spend a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to train for it. So for me, selection, it's been the hardest event, and I haven't finished it. So, Mark can, probably tell you more because he finished it. And I know Mark has done a lot of like hard events, and he knows what, the meaning behind suffering more than anybody. So that's for me a selection.
Thank you.
Dustin, I mean, I can go across the board here. And a mile is the hardest race sometimes. But one that really sticks out in my mind is an event called Texas Water Safari. They call it the world's toughest canoe race. And that's something that was very memorable for how much pain I endured. I never thought I was going to stand up straight again in my life. I mean, it was insane. Just the multi-day paddling for 8-hour days till you see anybody, and then doing it again and again and again. You got to look it up. That was an insane race. As far as rucking, I mean, I've done pretty much every distance. I'm about to hit 100 with one, but I've done a 66K. I think that was the most I've done with Ruck on, and that freaking hurt. that was bad. But there's elements too. Your nutrition could be off. The bugs could be biting hard that day. The sun could be shining more. So just be prepared for anything.
Awesome. Man, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. John, thank you for allowing me to talk to these guys. It's been very helpful. The information that's been gathered today will be taken heavily and applied to the little bit of time that I have left to train. And I'm going to upgrade the gear and keep the trail shoes on. And I guess, I'll figure out the nutrition side of it. I did have a couple more questions, but I'll figure out the nutrition side of it. Doing some ultra marathon in the past. I learned a lot about nutrition through failure. So I'll see how close we are to that.
Hey man, this isn't over. Hit me up anytime. Hit us up anytime.
Yeah.
I'll send you an exact picture of what I'm using for my event coming up, and maybe you're familiar, maybe not, but it's the best thing I've done.
Awesome.
Yeah, this isn't over. Anytime.
Saying if you need it, if you have any questions, send me a message.
Got it. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day, everyone.